I invest in a lot of coaches and I take a lot of courses in order to be the best version of myself for both me and my partner. Now, this is an ongoing process and one that I'm never going to feel complete about. And maybe you feel the same way too. There's always something that I can learn, a way that I can apply what I've learned that can help me communicate my message, my needs and desires, and my anger and frustrations in a better way. Today, I want to talk about anger and how to alchemize anger and see it for the beautiful gift that it is, and not something that we need to hide deep inside of us or pretend that we're not feeling or afraid that if we do acknowledge it, there's going to be major consequences from ourselves and our opinion of our anger, as well as from others. Now, most of this came from one of my amazing coaches, Kasia Urbaniak. I always like to give a shout out to people that I learn things from. And Kasia has got to be the most gifted coach that I've ever encountered and worked with. She says that it is her belief that we live in a culture that does not understand how to handle the emotions that we consider to be negative. Now, we're not educated in the art of emotional alchemy, and rage and anger is one of the most taboo subjects for us out there. If you're a woman, I know you don't want to be known as a raging bitch. And if you're a man, I know that you don't want people to be afraid of you. Kasia goes on to say that she doesn't believe that there's any woman out there that's not angry. And I'm going to add to that and say that I also don't believe there's any man out there who's not angry as well. There's a lot of reasons for us to be angry, but I'm not going to go into those today. Suffice it to say that there are days and there are moments when we feel such intense anger that we don't know what to do with that emotion. And the feeling of emotion can make us feel so out of control. Maybe we grew up with an angry parent, or maybe we became angry because we weren't able to express our needs and our desires. And when we tried, we were either shut down, laughed at, or not acknowledged, which made us feel even worse. So Kasia explains that anger is comparable to your leg being asleep. So imagine your leg's asleep, and then it starts to wake up. It hurts, and you can't use it, which is similar to anger in that it's destructive and messy. And if it's your leg, you walk on it and you fall over it, and she says it's just a disaster. Now, if your leg is asleep, you're not going to say, oh no, I got to put it back to sleep. But that's exactly what we do with anger. With anger, we don't feel it and acknowledge it. You know it doesn't feel good, and maybe you feel that this is a useless emotion because it can be so destructive and there's nothing that you can do with it. And with your foot that's become fully awake, it starts to feel uncomfortable in the beginning and it's hard to walk on, but you can't ignore it. So I want you to know that anger is just one of many of your emotions. You have emotions of happiness and joy, emotions of sadness and depression, and you have moments of anger and rage. And all of these are just emotions. These are not emotions that you need to fear. You don't get angry over things that you don't care about. When you feel anger and rage, it's because one of your boundaries has been violated, or it could be that you're not acknowledged, and there's times you might feel disrespected, which can lead to even more anger. For most people in anger, people are fighting against something. Kasia says that there is a moment, an alchemical moment in anger where you eventually stop seeing the things that you're fighting against and you start to see the things that you're fighting for. And when you see the things that you're fighting for and not against, that's when you can use your anger for passion, for clarity, and to create a greater vision than you've ever had before. So I want you to get curious about your anger. I want you to ask yourself, What about the situation? What about this person is getting me riled up? Why am I getting so angry about this person or situation? What am I trying to fight against? And what am I fighting for? Am I fighting for respect for myself or others? Am I fighting to be acknowledged, to be heard, to be listened to, or be witnessed to? What's the bigger vision that's behind my anger? Is my anger telling me that it's time to move on? Or is my anger telling me that it's time to speak up for myself? Is my anger telling me that I need to create boundaries? Or is it telling me that I need to change my expectations? Once you know and understand what's underneath your anger, and you can get curious about it, then you can understand that this anger, this rage that exists, it exists for a reason. And then you can do something about it. Whether it's a small or a big frustration, it's all the same. You don't get upset and worked up over things that you don't care about. You get angry when you're feeling resistance and you're not able to protect something that's super precious inside of you that needs to be protected. When you realize that anger can be used for good and that you can focus on what you're fighting for, and you can use this to create a vision, only then can you move forward. If you'd like to learn about any other emotion in regards to communication or your relationships, post in the comments, and I'm more than happy to address it in a future video. In the meantime, please comment, like, share this with your friends. If there's a subscribe button, use that as well.